And as usual, I see Judy has a flag behind her. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll lead. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Is everyone here from the auditors? He's going to make a presentation.
Rosalba's on the line.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Judy, who is Colin?
Colin?
I apologize. Colin is part of my team. He's the audit manager. He did kind of mute himself because we unfortunately got added to an administrative meeting at our office this morning. So, you know, he'll be on the call in case needed, but he's going to be for the most part muted.
Morning, everyone.
Hi, Colin.
Are you ready for the presentation?
Absolutely. I just wanted to add, I do have some presentation materials that I'm going to be displaying. So, Julie, would you mind allowing me to share my screen?
Yes, please go for it.
Thank you. Okay. And let me know, I do have an extra monitor, so let me know if you're able to see the screen now. Can you see the audit committee presentation materials?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All righty, great. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I just wanted to start with, we have successfully completed our audit procedures, and I'm very pleased to be able to present to you the results of our audit and of the June 30, 2020 financial statements. And again, I just wanted to just kind of give you a quick overview of the audit and share these materials for your information. We always kind of like to just give you a scope of services recap, kind of like provide you with information on our audit and the reason why you engaged us. So in the conduct of our audit, we are required to follow the general audit standards, which is the standards as promulgated by the AICPA. And those are the standards in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America. And we're also required, as we are conducting our audit, to also follow the Yellow Book report because of the type of government organization that you are. So in our audit, we're also required to look at your internal controls and then your compliance with your laws and regulations. And so we are required to report to you any issues that we have noted during our review of internal controls. So I'll be going over that report later in the presentation. I just kind of wanted to sort of give you a recap of the scope of services and obviously the reason why you engaged us. And then there's also a report that I'm going to be going over later, and that's a required communication, what is also referred to as the SAS 114 report. And this report is basically because as we're conducting our audit, we're not really able to communicate to you. We don't discuss with you our audit plan. And so this report kind of gives you information regarding any important and relevant items in regards to the audit so that you can exercise your fiduciary responsibilities. And again, I'll be going over that report in detail later in the presentation. And just wanted to let you know, feel free to ask any questions, at any time. So also as part of the audit, I always kind of like to give you a pretty good recap of the timeline, kind of like all the important events of the audit, what kind of information was provided to us, what procedures we perform, and kind of where we are at in the audit at this point. So we did commence our audit back in June and July. That's when we did our audit planning in the office. And then we were scheduled to come out to perform our fieldwork portion of the audit the second week in September. As you know, this was the first year that we did a remote audit because of the pandemic. And so we did all of our testing remotely. We tested your internal controls by testing participant data, active and retired participants. During this time, we also take the time to get an understanding of your key accounting areas, performing our walkthroughs. Again, obviously, because of a remote audit, our walkthroughs were performed with your staff, either via phone or Zoom meetings. And then we also updated our minutes and agreements for information that would be relevant to the audit that we would want to have information on. And then because we also did our fieldwork in September, which was after your books were already closed, we also performed our year-end portion of the audit, which is when we substantiate all your account balances. So this was all kind of performed in the same week as we've done in the past. But again, the difference was that this year we did perform a remote audit. And then as part of our procedures also, we obviously also confirm with your third parties various account balances, cash accounts, your investments, your participants. We also send confirmations to them so that they can provide us with information on their balances. And then obviously we also send to your legal attorney so that we have information regarding any litigation, commitments or contingencies that we would want to disclose in your financial statements. And then as always, as part of our procedures, we always like to do a wrap-up conference call. This is after we've already substantially completed our procedures. We like to do that so that we can have that discussion with your management, make them aware of any potential audit adjustments that we may have proposed. We also discuss any potential findings or recommendations that we have. And then, you know, if there's any other pending items, we also discuss with your management so that we can get these resolved. So that was done at the end of September. And then after that, the draft financial statements, we assisted your management with the drafting as we do every year. And then once the valuation report came out and was provided to us, we also reviewed the actuarial valuation report in accordance with GASB statement number 67, and then concluded our procedures a little earlier this month. And then so the next open item at this point, all of our reports that I'm going to be going over with you, these are all in draft format. And so once you approve these, then we can proceed to issue the finals and present those to your board in a finalized format in December. Any questions on the audit timeline? Okay. So just a little bit more that I just wanted to tell you and spend a little bit time on the audit areas of focus. You know, as we know, there are significant risk areas in our audit. So, you know, a big part of our audit is developing our audit plan, you know, based on knowledge of you, as well as knowledge of other entities similar to you and our experience auditing those as well. So we identify significant areas that we feel have a higher risk of error or irregularities. And so we look at some of these areas. And so just to provide you some on revenue recognition, you know, that's an area that we always look at. And so, you know, it's always a risk area. And so to mitigate that risk, you know, we do test the revenue through our participant data testing, and we also confirm with your third parties, including your employer, which we send confirmation to. And then obviously, as we're doing our walkthroughs, we're also getting an understanding of any risk in these areas related to segregation of duties or any other areas that we might feel we might need to do additional procedures on. And then as far as other risks, the management override of controls, I mean, we understand that, you know, there's always a risk there. You know, it doesn't matter how well, you know, controls are designed, there's always some type of risk of possible override of control. So we identify that risk, and in responding to that, we do take a look at the controls over your journal entries, and we do obtain and test a sample of those to make sure that these are recorded properly in your system, making sure that there are adequate segregation of duties, and that the process is working in regards to journal entries. And then some of the other areas that I wanted to talk about is, again, just areas that we focus on more of our audit efforts. As I said, we do base our audit based on a risk-based approach. So again, we always identify areas that we consider might have a higher risk of error. And so these are the areas that we do spend a lot of time on. Again, these are areas that we identify during our audit plan, but there's obviously a lot more areas that we also look at as we're doing our audit. So as far as investments and related earnings, obviously we're talking about that's a significant part of your assets. These are, your investment managers. They have been delegated authority to make decisions in regards to the investments. And so as part of our audit, and an important area in our audit is confirming with third parties. So we not only obtain information directly from your custodian, but we also obtain information from your investment managers and also your investment consultant. And we sort of like reconcile all those three to make sure that all the information reconciles, and that anything that comes back as an unresolved issue that we take a look at. Obviously, we're also looking at walkthroughs, again, getting a good understanding to make sure that there are controls surrounding investments, and that there are no issues that we would want to bring to management's attention. So our biggest thing on that is obviously confirming with your third parties, because once we obtain third party confirmations, we are able to reduce quite a lot of our procedures. But in addition to that, an important aspect also is when we also take a look at the audited financial statements of these investment managers, because we feel that it's important that we are also looking at this external financial statements that are also audited, and that they are getting clean opinions, and that there isn't anything that we would want to bring to your attention. And then also we look at the SOC reports, which is their reports on internal controls, making sure that there's no significant deficiencies that, again, we would want to bring to your attention, since they're given so much autonomy in regards to making and executing investment transactions. Any questions so far? Okay, so I'll keep going. And then obviously another area that we also spend a lot of time on is on your participant data and actuary. Obviously, there's a lot of transactions that are flowing through your systems and that affect participant data and actuary. So we also, in that process, we also do a walkthrough understanding to make sure we've documented the procedures, and that we've not identified any segregation of duties that we want to report to you. But also a big part of this area is obviously, again, testing these participants. Obviously, our first step is getting information directly from them to make sure that it agrees with what has been recorded in your system. And so we do test both active and retired participants. And then we also do recalculations of all of those that do not return a response to us. So, obviously when we send confirmations, we expect that they will be a percentage that is not returned back. And so for those that do not return a confirmation, we perform what we call our alternate procedures, which would be recalculating all of those samples that did not return a confirmation. And then as far as the actuary, we also do send a sample to the actuary so that they can confirm back their information. obviously the actuary is utilizing information that's provided by the system, and that's how they develop their actuarial valuation report. So we want to make sure that the information that's being utilized by the actuary is accurate. So again, in that process, we do send the confirmation to your actuary, and then we also test the information that they provide to us. So we not only ask them to confirm a sample of information that we sent over, but we also ask them to provide us with some data that they have, and then we test it to make sure it agrees with your system, what your system has reported. And then for benefit payments, employer and employee contributions, you know, a lot of these areas are, we're able to reduce our testing again because we're doing testing of your participant data, testing the benefit payment and the contributions. So in this area, we do our walkthrough and understanding of the accounting areas. Again, we confirm the contributions with the employer, and then we're also performing high-level analytics. Any questions? All right. And then, so now I'm going to go over the results of the audit. And again, keep in mind that these are in draft format. So in your packets, you're going to see what's called the report to the audit committee and the board. Again, these are in draft form to allow you to review them, comment on them, and then only after you've approved them, we will proceed to issue them. So the first report that I'm going to cover is the independent auditor's report. That's going to be in your financial statement draft. And obviously, this is the whole intent of the audit so that we can be able to provide you with their opinion. Obviously, when you publish the financial statements, you're asserting to the users that these financial statements are materially accurate and fairly presented in accordance with all standards. And so it is obviously our responsibility that when we perform our audit to be able to communicate back to you in that report that all the information that you've asserted to us is accurate. So I'm very pleased to let you know that as a result of our procedures, we are very satisfied with the information received. And so we are planning on issuing an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion. So congratulations on that. And then I spoke earlier when I was going over the scope of services regarding the report on the internal controls. I explained the reasons for that report. And again, just as a recap, we are required to provide to you information as to whether we identify any material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, or if there were any non-compliance with your laws and regulations. So I'm happy to report that there were no non-compliance noted. There were no material weaknesses to report. There is one significant deficiency identified, and you'll see that in the report as a finding. But I want to add that this is actually a repeat from prior year. Obviously, you know, sometimes findings, they take more than one operating cycle to correct. So, you know, we've been provided with a response from management. You know, we reviewed it. We don't have any issues with it. And come next year, we're going to review the status again. But again, it wasn't anything that was new. It was something that was reported from years past, and it related to journal entries and segregation of duties. Any questions so far? Okay. And so the next report that we've issued, and this one is what we call the agreed upon conditions report, our management letter. You know, obviously, as we're doing our audit, we're always taking a look at best practices, opportunities for improvement so that we can bring to your attention for your consideration. And so these are obviously nothing that would that we have that we feel that would be an issue in your internal controls, but more of a best practice for your consideration. And so the report, in our report, we do have one recommendation related to information technology and the password requirements. But again, this was also a recommendation that we had in the past that has not been implemented yet. And again, we've received management's suggestion as far as the corrective action plan. And again, we'll follow up with management on the status next year. Question? Okay. And so the last report that I'm going to go over with is what I mentioned earlier, the SAS 114 required communication to you. Obviously, as we're conducting our audit, we're communicating with your management. We're not really communicating with you regarding any significant matters as they pertain to the audit. So this report provides you with that information. Obviously, if there's any critical items that come up during the audit, such as significant audit adjustments, disagreements with management, or even the implementation of new accounting standards and how they impact your financial statements, would be a required communication to you. So just the only thing that I have this year, and I'm going to start with saying I'm pleased to report to you that there were no disagreements with management. We did not have any proposed audit adjustments, so there were no uncorrected misstatements to the financial statements. And so the only item to report is that because of the pandemic, the GASB issued a new standard in response to that statement number 95, which what it does, it allows you to defer any standards that would have previously been required to be implemented as of June 30, 2020. So it actually allows you additional time to implement because of the pandemic. So, so with that, obviously there weren't any new standards implemented other than this one to allow you to delay the implementation. Questions on this report? Okay. And so just on the next slide, I just kind of like to give you a summary of, again, where we are in the process. As you know, we always issue our annual financial report. And then once that's issued, then your management proceeds with preparing a CAFR, which we assist with reviewing. And we do a pretty thorough review. We go through several layers of individuals to review, as obviously that one is submitted for the GFOA award, and we want to make sure that it is compliant. So once we issue our annual financial report, management will be working on the CAFR, and we will assist with the review of the CAFR. So that's kind of it. That's a summary of the presentation. And now I'll go ahead and take any questions or comments if you have. Was there any specific questions on the draft? Anything that looked different? Any questions that you had? Okay. So with that, I just want to take this time to thank all your management for their help. Obviously, again, as I said, you know, this was a unique year. You know, I'm sure it was tougher in a remote environment to be able to gather all the information and then also scan it since we performed the remote audit. And so I want to thank management for all their help in the audit. And, you know, obviously we didn't have any delays. And so we completed our procedures when we had planned. And so thanks to all your management for all their help. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Rosalva.
You're welcome.
Chair, I believe we need a motion to accept the reports.
I'll make a motion to accept the audit report and financial statements.
I'll second the motion.
I assume since we're on Zoom, we should do a roll call vote, Judy?
Yes, please. So motion to accept the reports and financial statements. Ms. Forrester,
Aye.
Ms. Cavaness,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Aye.
Mr. Knudsen,
Yes.
approved.
You.
Now, Rosalva, who is this?
You're still screen sharing.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's my boy.
Very cute.
That's okay, that's cute.
Thank you. It's an older picture. All righty. Well, unless there's anything, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect, and thank you for your time and happy holidays.
Thanks.
Before
You too.
before you go,
Yes,
could I have a question? I do have a question.
sure.
As I'm sure you're aware, we're going through a large correction of benefit payments.
Correct.
I didn't see it on this audit. Is it going to be something that is on next year's audit? And should it possibly have been a subsequent event on this audit to have been included at least as a subsequent event? Because the corrections are going on outside of your audit.
Well, I mean, when we were performing our procedures, we spoke with your actuary, and so he made us aware of the issue. And this is something that we know has been identified in the past. And so, I mean, there isn't anything that we found through our audit procedures. And so when we spoke to management as well, and Doris, I don't know if you want to add anything, but there wasn't anything that would be of significant matter that would be required to be disclosed as a subsequent event.
Okay.
It will definitely be noted in next year's audit.
Well, I know we had to do another VCP with the IRS. I thought that might have been a significant enough situation that it might have been mentioned in the audit as a subsequent event.
And Tim, I just wanted to let you know that we haven't gotten the legal letters yet. And so when we do obtain the legal letters, we do update our general questions with your management. And if at that time we determine that there is something that needs to be disclosed as a subsequent event, we definitely will be considered, but we haven't received the letters should be coming, but we have not received them yet.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Have a good one. Happy holidays.
Thanks
Bye.
again.
Thank you.
Okay.
One
Do
thing
we
that
still need to approve the minutes of the last meeting of the committee?
Yes. Yes, we went right into the presentation by the auditor, but item number 1 on our agenda is approval of the November 25th, 2019 committee meeting minutes. Have a motion to adopt them?
So moved.
Adopt them.
In
Second.
that case, can we do an aye vote as opposed to a roll call?
We should probably do a roll call.
Okay.
All right. Ms. Forrester?
Yes.
Ms. Cavaness?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
And Mr. Knudsen?
Yes.
Approved.
you know, I wanted to go back real quick to the audit findings. And I just wanted to mention to the board that as of last month, we actually have finally started getting Doris involved in the unrealized gain journal entry calculations. So we are totally moving towards that finding being satisfied by the end of next year. As you can see from our response, we've done a number of things to attempt to mitigate that finding this year, but now I think we're going to actually be able to eliminate it going forward. So I just wanted to let the committee know that.
Well, thank you, Robert. I'm glad to hear that. That's great.
Additionally, in case you don't recall, the item she mentioned that was information technology related was the use of two-factor authentication for logins. And we are waiting for being able to complete the next Pension Gold upgrade in order to roll that out to the member direct portal, is my understanding. And of course, with the project, that upgrade was, of course, a little bit delayed. But that is something that will be resolved with the next upgrade.
Okay.
And Doris, you said, was that in November of 2022 when that upgrade's coming?
No, we actually will be doing that, I believe, probably, well, we originally had hoped for the second quarter of 2021 calendar year, but with the project still in full swing here, I'm not sure if we'll have that wrapped up enough to dedicate the resources for testing. So yeah, I'm hoping before the close of calendar 21, certainly.
Okay.
We've had general audit discussion. If there's no further discussion, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
And third.
Let's do all those in favor.
Aye.
Aye. So we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and be
Be well, safe.
Yeah. Bye.
bye-bye.
Hey, Judy.